Hey there, and welcome to the Bold Badass Business Show, where we bring you badasses from all over the world. And you all today in the house, yet another phenomenal mind who I got to meet on the new media, aka previously the Podcasters Cruise, and that is Alexander Ford, the CEO of Measurable Genius. And I am just thrilled to have you here on the show, Alexander.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have a ball. We're going to rock and roll on this Friday afternoon and
Yeehaw.
bring a lot of contrarian ideas to everyone so that we can be free. Hello to freedom. And you all, I don't usually read the bios of my guests, but I am in love with Alexander's bio. So I want to actually read this one because it just is written in such a beautiful way. Alexander spent 5 years learning consciousness and human transformation from his mentor, and then he put it all on the shelf. He thought he needed to be somebody else to win. So he built an agency, chased shiny objects, and almost worked himself to death, isolating himself from everything that mattered. All because he was living by someone else's blueprint. Through that suffering, he learned we're here to live lives of meaning, not just make money. We get what we want by helping others get what they want. I love that from Zig Ziglar, so powerful. The minute he returned to his true nature and trusted himself, everything transformed. He killed his agency. Yes, kill it off. Ah! And he stepped into what he really is. And in 3 months, $500,000 in revenue, raving clients, a team that wants to help, and more play and love than ever. The only thing that changed, he stopped trying to be someone else. So, isn't that an incredible bio, everyone? And Alexander, thank you for that. And thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, excited to be here. And thank you for having me. I'm excited about it.
Well, our topic is wonderful. You don't need hobbies when your vocation is your vacation. So, would you tell us a little bit more about that big wake up moment where you said, this is a bunch of hogwash. This is a bunch of BS. If you're me, you said, fuck this shit. And you realized, I am not doing that agency anymore. This is someone else's blueprint. Would you tell us more? Because so often we don't get to hear those really painful moments that are inevitably part of finding ourselves and being an entrepreneur.
Um, yeah, I mean, I've had a few of them, but the one that was most meaningful to me, it sort of happened in two steps. So I'll give a little bit of context. I ran a marketing agency for entrepreneurs and coaches and business owners for about 12 years or so. Officially, we discontinued providing agency services at the top of 2025. So from 2013 to 2025, I grew a marketing services agency. And I thought I was super smart about it. I had this story, which was true, which is that entrepreneurs today, in order to succeed as marketers, really need a lot of support. Like we need expertise across a bunch of domains of specialized knowledge. We, use copywriting to write landing pages and Facebook ads and social media posts. We create videos for content or for our website in the form of like video sales letters, or other types of conversion sort of tools. We need to be great speakers in that just about everything is a stage, but speaking from stage is one of the best ways to go about getting leads. We need somebody to do our marketing infrastructure, like our high level campaigns or our Infusionsoft like automations. And we need sales reps to take sales calls and designers and branding experts to make us look the way we want to look. And when I was growing up inside the coaching industry, it sort of became clear to me that people need to be able to manage those various different specializations in order to do a thing called build a funnel or like run a successful campaign. And the challenge that I observed was that most entrepreneurs would hire a specialized consultant. They would hire a Facebook ads person, or they would hire a video editor, or they would hire someone to build them a website. And because of the nature of how our industry is set up, the website person thinks the thing that you should do is build a website next or optimize for SEO. And the Facebook ads person thinks it's a de facto conclusion that you should be running Facebook ads. And the video editors think the thing that's, keeping you from all of the money and riches you want is that you don't have good social media content. And they tend to direct the attention of the business owner towards the thing that they perceive as a meaningful problem. Mm-hmm. And that's not inherently bad. Like, is it true that we all want to look great on video? Yeah. Is it true that we should all be publishing on social media? Yeah. Is it true that we should all have a great website? Yeah. Is it true that we should probably learn how to speak and sell from stage? Yeah. Is it true that I should probably learn to build a webinar funnel that converts people into discovery calls or into my high ticket offer? Yeah. Like, all of these things are important. But entrepreneurs, in order to succeed in that, they really need to be at the center of like a board of experts that work well together. Mm-hmm. And generally speaking, that's an outcome that's pretty hard to create. Like, because one, the business owner often can't afford to hire all the specialists at the same time. And two, even if you do, they often don't get along.
They have completely different ideas about things. What should come first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I sort of saw this problem and I was like, you know what? I can solve this problem. I will hire all of those people. And so I built a vertically integrated marketing agency, and I essentially became a fractional CFO for my clients. And like, on one hand, it was brilliant. Like, I became I became a center of influence. I was able to command high margin, not high margin, like high revenue, like income. Like, I had clients paying as much as $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a month on retainer for me to act as basically a completely outsourced marketing agency for them. And, we probably in our best year ended up doing $1.5 plus or minus $1 million a year in services revenue. So for anyone who sells services, like, if you divide that by $125 an hour, that's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, we were selling a lot of hours of services. And we got really good at it. Like, by the end of it, we built probably thousands of funnels. And like, I've touched every piece of technology. We've, touched every possible marketing strategy. We developed this really strong domain of expertise across the entire marketing stack. The challenge is, which I only discovered later, is that I was setting my clients up to effectively abdicate their responsibility. What really ended up happening is, the way I acquired clients, or the way I set up the type of client that I was going to acquire, is that even if we had an eyes wide open conversation about how they need to be at the center of their marketing world, like, they need to understand their customer. It's up to them to like deeply understand the problem that they're solving and to shape their offers to service their market, this and that. What would happen under the hood is that most of our clients, not all, but almost all of our clients, would sort of show up looking for a savior. Meaning, like, Alexander's just going to wheelbarrow money into my backyard and I'm just going to be able to do my magic trick.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
The rescuer.
Yeah. And if we're being honest, like, I kind of got off on that idea. Like, look at how all powerful I am. If I could solve this problem, look how amazing that would be. Like, how great am I? They're functionally dependent. We have job security, all of this. What ended up happening, though, is that we would just, inevitably fail to meet the expectation of them being saved. And they would often pull the plug way too early. They wouldn't pave out runway to offer the scope and the depth that we need to like prove out experiments and to run multiple iterations of campaign strategy. And so I persisted in that business model for a long time, but secretly what I was doing was really trying to show up and give my gift to them, which has nothing to do with being a CMO or being a marketer. It has to do with being like a performance optimization coach or an executive coach for CEOs, or a business coach for young entrepreneurs that want to figure out the business fundamentals and really become great leaders. And so these two things were constantly at odds. The overt transaction was that they were hiring me for marketing services, but the covert contract was that they wanted access to me and my brain, and they wanted me to provide them with the coaching and transformational services, and that's what I wanted to deliver to them. But then when they didn't get the results they wanted in services, it would undermine my rapport as a coach, and then they wouldn't listen to me anymore, especially
Mm.
when they wanted to be right about something and make their failures or their story about not getting what they want in life the fault of the people that are doing the work for them. So it
Mm.
was this very uncomfortable dynamic that I created for all of us. And I got to a point in sort of halfway through 2024. I was in Cabo San Lucas at JVology Summit with Jay Fazette and a bunch of other people. And I sort of ended up in a 1-2 punch of a circumstance. Two of my largest clients, one of them decided to dissolve a partnership, and the second decided that he was going to, for the 5th or 6th time, implode and restart his business.
Mm.
And so I lost $50,000 of recurring revenue effectively inside a 48-hour period while we were effectively in paradise at this mastermind.
Mm.
And there's like this storm rolling in, and the day everyone's supposed to leave, everybody's flights end up getting canceled. And so I end up in this condo up on the side of the hill with 5 of my closest friends and my girlfriend, Jennifer. And it sort of dawns on me the realization about how I had built a model that was destined for failure kind of dawns on me inside the context of this implosion of our revenue.
Mm.
And a third thing emerges, which is I sort of realized that I've been like wearing a brave face, trying to prove myself, and that I was also terrified of what it would mean to my relationship with my girlfriend if I was not able to make this business successful, like what it would mean. Like, would she actually be okay with moving back in with one of our parents and eating beans
Mm.
and rice and starting over?
Mm.
But I sort of ended up in this moment where I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is so painful to me. And I've been wearing a brave face, but I've been doing something I don't really want to do to try to prove that I am somebody I don't want to be. Despite my education in human behavior and the messaging that I'm sharing with the world now and the transformation around what it means to build a life by design and to truly take the risk of committing to what you want and building a life around that, I was performing that idea, but I wasn't really living it because I was terrified of, basically letting go of this thing that I had built and what it meant. But in that moment, I sort of, the pain of that experience and the resultant awareness of it
Mm.
sort of got me to the place where I was like, literally nothing could be fucking worse than this.
Mm.
So I'm going to burn it to the ground, and I'm going to be honest with my girlfriend, and I'm going to take the risk because honestly, if this is how it's going to be, it's not worth it. And so I basically told my girlfriend, I was like, we have 60 days of cash and I'm not sure if we'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm done with this and I want to find a different path forward. Like, I hate my life and I'm not living by the principles that are most important to me. And I thought that if I could just get through this one last thing, then my life would be different. And it's just never going to end. And so that was kind of it. I in that moment, I was like, I'm done with this. And then that opened the door for me to be curious about who am I really? And if I were to be courageous enough, what type of life would I build and what type of business would I lead? And that was the beginning really of the process of our transition into running a coaching practice. There's a bunch more that sort of happened over the coming months after that, but that was really it. I was like, I don't want to live a life where I'm going to be, I don't actually buy the story that if I suffer for long enough, my life is going to get better. There's got to be something different. And so I committed in that moment to make a change.
That's beautiful. And you know what I really like about your story is that you decided you would be honest with your girlfriend, it just no holds barred, and this is how it is. This is what we've got. And I'm putting it all on the line because I want to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be true to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, as Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. Nobody could say it better, I think. But to make that decision when you've been at such a level of success, I think is really extraordinary, Alexander. Now, if things are really fucked up and sucky, it's a lot easier, right? Well, you did lose those huge contracts, 50,000, as you put it, in 2 days while you were in Cabo. That's quite an oxymoron in and of itself. But you were committed. Let's just burn it. Let's burn it and let me find the thing. And I would imagine at that time you didn't know what the thing was. Is this right?
Yeah, I did not know. And I was so attached to that identity, and I like, even if I had tried, I don't think I was going to be able to figure it out. I think it really was like sort of a burn the boats moment. I mean, there was a few more that came after that that sort of swing all the way through on the metaphor of burning the boats, but as long as I was on this side of the decision to keep trying, um to make this business that theoretically is successful and is bearing fruit and could make money, like, and this is like the devil, in a very classic sense. It's like God will offer you just enough to keep you tempted, but I basically cleared myself of the illusion that I was ever going to go beyond that. And I think perhaps that's the risk that many people face, is it's like the temptation of something that could be good at the expense of something that could be great
Oh,
was really where I was
that.
stuck.
Wait, time out. Say that again. That's genius right there. That's measurable genius right there.
Yeah, like I was being tempted by something that had the potential to be theoretically good by normal metrics. Like, this business could be profitable. It is profitable. It makes us money. I can buy groceries. Like, it has the potential for success, if only we change this, this, and this. But more importantly, if I were the person who really wanted to do it, it's like the temptation of trading, of doing what's good at the expense of something that would be true and really great for me in my life, I think it's a trap that I think many people are caught up in. It's like,
Comfort
first I'll make some
zone.
money and then later I'll figure out my life.
Comfort zone is so, 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 so attractive and tempting, isn't it?
Hmm.
And even when we, as you say, it's mediocre or good enough. Yeah, it's good enough. I'm fine. It's good enough. Comfort zone is the enemy of
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah.
And I think it's really powerful that you decided, I'm just going to burn it down, burn, baby, burn. And I'm going to go directly into, it's so courageous. I'm going to go directly into the unknown.
Hmm.
And it really was unknown. And not only am I going to go into the unknown, I'm going to take my partner with me,
Hmm.
if she's willing to go. And she was willing to go,
She
right?
was. Yep. Yep.
I
She
bet it
was
would
and
be
she is.
interesting to interview her too about this time. Yeah, so she was willing to go and to put your relationship through the fire as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. And the thing about it is, it became existential to me really quick. Like, I I I spend a good amount of time in philosophy. Like, I'm a explorer of the mysteries, and I really want to understand deeply the mechanics of the universe, and like figure out how the game of life is played. And so, I've got these very visceral examples, and then there's also the broader ideas of that sort of underlie these decisions that I've made in my life, or these experiences that I've had. And I remember, a few months later, not even a few months, I think like a month later, um, I flew down to Phoenix to attend a Mastermind to Millions event again with Jay. And um, him and I fly down on different flights, but we arrive at approximately the same time. And so I meet him at the airport, and we hop in an Uber. And the contemplation that I had been in involved this fear that I had become conscious of. And I think I was conscious of it for some time. Like, I think I've wrestled with this fear more or less my whole life in a conscious sense. I think most people wrestle with it unconsciously, which is that when I would contemplate doing what I wanted, and not even a specific thing, but in the abstract, when I would contemplate a choice and there were options on the table, I have spent most of my life in the following paradigm. what I want intrinsically in this choice can't be trusted. So therefore, I need to do by definition something that I do not want because that is somehow safer. And I was in the analysis of this, like, why is that true? Why is it that I feel fearful about following my inner voice? What is it about me that must be true for me to perceive doing what I want as a risk?
Mm. Yes.
And so I'm in this car and I can remember exactly where we are. It's like we're leaving the Phoenix airport and I'm asking myself, like, am I actually going to gamble on following my own desire? Like, am I really going to bet on that? Like,
Mm.
how can that possibly be true, that following my desire is the path? But I've lived an entire life doing the opposite of what I want as a mechanism for safety and never finding fulfillment and never finding happiness and it never really working out. And I know that very clearly, but I'm still terrified. Like, so what does that mean? I wake up in the morning and just do whatever I want? I
Mm.
just wake up in the morning and follow my intuition. Like, I don't fall backwards onto my ClickUp projects. I don't do what my customer tells me I need to do. I don't follow the guidance of Dan Kennedy and Alex Hormozy and Gary Vaynerchuk and do what they tell me I'm supposed to do. Like, could it possibly be true that the way to win is to follow what I want?
Mm.
And in that moment I was like, fuck it. Like, it again, it can't possibly be worse, right? And I've heard, like, Jordan Peterson has said several times, and I'm paraphrasing, like, the truth, even if you perceive it painful, is the only path that can live you to the life that you love.
Mhm.
And I perceive that that's analogous to this idea that I'm talking about, which is the life that I love can only exist by doing what I love. What I love can never come later or after something I don't. So it was from there that I sort of developed this hypothesis that there's this epidemic. It's like a mind virus that we've all
Mm.
been programmed into by a variety of different sources and through repetition from a variety of different cultural contexts, which is the following: what I want is on the other side of something that I don't want. Meaning, most of us live a life that sounds like, first, I do something I don't want. First, I suffer through being a bad person. First, I do what everyone else asks of me under duress. And then eventually, the life that I love will somehow spontaneously sprout out of the universe.
Or it'll
Like,
come after I retire.
sure,
And
sure.
most people in that case are retired underground by the time it's time to retire.
Right. Because the truth is, it never comes because
Yeah.
every day is today. And if today, the way I see the world is that today I do what I don't want so that tomorrow I can do or be what I want, tomorrow never comes because tomorrow's just another today where I'm doing something I don't want to do inside the frame or the belief that that will yield somehow the fruit of a life that I want. And the reality is that, intellectually stated, that argument is false on its merit. Like, it's fundamentally and objectively and observably false. It makes no sense now that I've got language for it.
Mhm.
Yet, it's for some reason feels safer than to gamble on filling my day with what I truly want today. And I'm in curiosity currently about why that's true. I don't have a solid hypothesis for why
Mm.
God has hidden the fruit of our life inside something that requires courage, when the thing that requires courage is our innate nature. It seems really strange that God would wrap our nature in a box that requires courage. But it did for me, and just about everyone I speak with has some hesitation or fear. Like, what? I don't know if I could be trusted. I don't know if I can depend on myself. So therefore, I'm going to yield my authority to
A
social or
job.
moral, right? My parents, my teachers, my
Mhm.
preachers, social or moral and ethical rules. Like, then, then at least I'm a good boy or a good girl, and I can avoid consequence. Um, but the alternative sucks. So it's pretty meta, but in the spirit of living my best life, what I've realized is that my messaging and my purpose currently is to help people to sort of awake like wake up to this fundamental paradigm issue, which is, until you have the courage to fill your day with what you love, your days will be consumed by what you don't. And by default, the universe will keep you busy. And very few of us have had the courage to sort of push the voices on the outside away and to truly begin to cultivate the voice on the inside. And entrepreneurs are the worst for this because we're stuck in a bit of a catch-22. Entrepreneurs, ostensibly, they tell the story, I became an entrepreneur because I want to live a life by my design.
And I want to be free. I want to
Right.
live freedom
But
life.
then I look directly at them and I'm like, tell me what you filled your day with. And they're like, oh, I filled my day with a bunch of shit that I hate. And I'm like, so the irony is you think you're building a life by design, but you've fallen victim to the same problem that everyone else has fallen. You've just, adopted the mantle of entrepreneur, which theoretically affords you the power or authority you need to do it, but you're still not. And so, for any entrepreneurs listening to this, I want to just invite you to contemplate, like, this shows up in moment by moment decisions. It's not a macro story. We don't wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to live a life by design. And then decision by decision, death by 1,000 paper cuts, the reality to ourselves, which is we're not. Like, to the degree you do anything on your task list you don't want to do, you're not doing it. To the degree you take a meeting you don't want to take, or engage with a customer you don't want to serve, or sell an offer that causes you friction, or do whatever because you've been sold the story that suffering is noble. You've been sold a lie. You've been sold a lie, and David Goggins is not right? The goal is not to suffer through shit you don't want to do. The goal is to endure challenge that inspires you. And if you create that distinction, if I were to ask you, this challenge that inspires you, would you like to tackle it? The answer to that would be yes. Mm-hmm. If I ask you if you'd like to endure the pain and suffering of all this stuff that does not truly inspire you, the answer to that would be no. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to suffer, we might as well suffer towards something that means something to us, so that our story is, this is what I want. And today I'm doing what I want, which is to tackle this challenge. But I filled my life with challenge for challenge's sake. And that is not an effective strategy, but we've been told that that's the way to win. And it's a fucking lie. And I'm, taking a stand against it.
I love it. I love it, Alexander. And I can take that stand with you too. And I love what you say about your inner voice, to cultivate your inner voice. What does your soul, your spirit, your essence, your inner core, whatever you want to call it, that kernel, that embryo of who you are, what does that want to do? Mm-hmm. What does that? And sometimes, I find with my clients, many times we go back to a particular age where they disowned that dream, mm-hmm. where they let the dream go, mm-hmm. and began to let the script of society take over. And they began to cover themselves with endless levels of, just illusion. Yep. Illusion, really.
Yeah. My mentor taught me that when the voice and the vision on the inside has become louder and more powerful than all of the voices on the outside, you've begun to master your life. Beautiful.
Repeat that, please. That is gorgeous.
When the voice and the vision on the inside becomes louder and more powerful than all of the voices on the outside, you've begun to master your life.
This is beautiful. And what an incredible way to say it. Now, may I ask who your mentor?
I studied for many years, and I continue to study with Dr. John DeMartini. Mm-hmm. He and I developed a relationship in 2009. I met him by way of a television producer in Calgary. I was in a business networking group, and he had made a film in the style of The Secret with John. And when John came to town one time to do a public talk, I was invited to go as being a member of this networking group. And for the first time in my life, I found a man who I wanted to learn from. Mostly, I don't believe in just about anything that anybody says. I have a pretty strong oppositional defiance mechanism. And so mostly I don't subordinate, and I refuse to just accept the whatever people want to sell me on. I'm quite the skeptic. But when I met John, it was like I discovered a master. He is by definition a master. He has read tens of thousands of books. He has dedicated his life to the study of the mysteries and human behavior and universal proven principles. And for just about 10 years straight, he poured into me. I spent a lot of money, and I spent a good chunk of my life traveling the world studying with him. And so he trained me into the science of human behavior, and he taught me just about everything I know as it relates to the mechanics of consciousness and the mechanisms of growth. What does it mean to truly grow? How do we activate our spiritual potential? How do we unlock our native gifts? How do we align our decisions, perceptions, and actions with what is truly important to us? And how do we apply, sort of the rules of the matrix to live a most fulfilled and inspired life? And so I went and I did that. And at the time I was running an IT business before I sort of evolved that into our marketing agency. And I struggled with like packaging it. I was like, I love this. This is my purpose. I believe in this more than anything else in life. And then because I bought some stories and because I didn't really feel or have the skill to package it or sell it as a personal development offer, I continued to do what I knew. And so I put it in a box and I put it on the shelf, and I continued to sell IT services. And then I sold marketing services. And it wasn't actually until the top of 2025, like 8-9 months ago, he came back to Canada to do his signature program, the Breakthrough Experience, for the first time since COVID. And I had a trip scheduled, and I was like, oh, I can just tack a trip to Toronto onto the front end of my thing. So I moved my flights around, and I stopped in Toronto to do Breakthrough Experience with him, which I've done hundreds of times.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to, sit at the feet of the master once again, so to speak. And I sat in the same spot I sat in when I did my very first Breakthrough Experience ever. And I'm sitting at Breakthrough, and he's teaching me the same shit I've heard hundreds of times from him. It's his entry program, so I've heard this stuff dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And I'm sitting there, and I'm literally face palming, and I'm like, how could I forget?
I've never heard that as a verb. That's hilarious. I'm
face palm. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm face palming. That's a gaming term. It's like, fuck.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm already well into the identity of coach. I've run a couple beta coaching programs. We're launching my signature accelerator program a couple months after that in July. So I've got this like line of trajectory around transitioning from agency leader to coach. And I'm sitting in Breakthrough, and I'm like, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm so dumb. Like my purpose has been here the entire time, and I had forgotten it, or I had lost sense of it, or I had sort of decided I couldn't do it, or I don't know, but it was such a beautiful reminder. So I came back from that trip really clear that I was going to launch a business coaching program founded in the science of human behavior. And I'm going to push out those voices on the outside that say you can't sell a personal development offer to business owners because they don't want to buy it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And sort of, one step in the evolution to the program we now sell, which is like a business coaching program grounded in highly effective personal development and the science of human behavior and the mechanics of consciousness and how we actually grow as individuals and build and live a fulfilling life, which is what our businesses are meant to help us do.
They are the vehicle. They're meant to be the vehicle. But sadly, it's like people grab this, and it's really just a paper bag, What's in the paper bag? What is in there? That is what we've got to understand. What's inside of us that is yearning to find expression. And if we just have an empty paper bag, there's no substance there. So important to do that work of asking, what do I really want? What do I really want? And I've been doing this, Alexander, because I realized a few months ago, about 6 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm really bored with my business. I am bored with my business. And it was a moment that was really hard. It was hard to say that. It was
Yeah.
hard to speak it.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty somehow too, because here I was at a level of success where I was very comfortable, but I'm bored with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's really common. That's
Yeah.
really common.
Yeah.
And there's this other variable in the entrepreneurship game, which is like we're taught that we have to posture a particular way. Like we need to present ourselves as having it together. And it's, if you show weakness, customers may not trust you. And, another
Just
sort
the
of,
opposite.
yeah, another frame from Jordan Peterson is like, we're not impervious. There's no impervious human. And to acknowledge weakness is not weakness, it's vulnerability. And we crave vulnerability. We crave it. We absolutely crave vulnerability. And we all kind of look at the facade of the entrepreneurial world and go, this is bullshit. And I know it because I'm imperfect. Like we all know that we're all figuring this out together. But then we show up at a 3-day event, or we show up at a conference, or we show up at a networking event, and everybody's got their suit on, and they're
Right.
like, we're going to do some hot seats, but nobody asks any questions that matter, because if I were to actually bare my soul here, that feels risky and scary. But the reality is that if you are unwilling to be vulnerable, you can't grow. Like transformation happens in the truth. It
Yes.
doesn't happen in the veneer that you present to the world.
Doesn't
And I
happen in
think
the mask.
right. And the mistake that I think a bunch of entrepreneurs make is we spend so much time wearing the mask in I guess public, but in our lives, we are wearing the mask. I showed up to it. I have to wear a mask with my team because if they find out I'm having financial struggles, they might quit. I have to wear a mask with my vendors because like I need to posture up so that they'll support me. I need to wear a mask with my customers so that they feel like stable and secure and that I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
And then, in the 1 hour you have each day where you don't have to be wearing the mask, it's just easier to leave it on. And so now we're performing the mask to ourselves as well.
Mm.
And then also arguably, we're trying to convince other people of the mask we're trying to convince ourselves of. And so marketing is actually a cover story for proving to myself who I think I'm not. And it becomes this toxic personal development trap because we're afraid of telling the truth. We're afraid of being honest about what we truly want. We're afraid of telling that ridiculous client we don't want to have another fucking meeting. We're afraid of telling our students in our coaching programs that we're figuring it out too, because then they might go hire a different coach that's better than us. But, sanity check, they're not better than you. They're figuring it out too. They're just lying better.
Yeah.
And customers who believe that shit, like they're screwed. They're screwed.
Yeah.
If somebody hires someone else who's lying because you didn't lie, neither of you are helping them.
And the other thing that I want to add to this too, this is a great, really juicy conversation, Alexander, and that is the lying that happens in terms of sales is just reprehensible. And people jumping on stuff and running to the back of the room or filling out the order form or, using the QR code and filling it out online, whatever. This kind of ignorance and jumping at the next shiny object is leading people down, just basically a yellow brick road. It's a yellow brick road.
Yep.
And it's not the road home.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the road home.
I do my best to get to the root of that at my signature 3-day event called The Choice. On the first day, I spend almost the entire day sort of doing my best to dismantle the ideas that hold up the frame that keeps people trapped. I've used the word frame a couple times, so I'll define it. A frame is a set of rules, laws, beliefs, or stories that have been so programmed into how you perceive the world, you don't notice them happening.
It's the box.
Okay, it's the box you see the world through, and it's been programmed by you, but it's supported by a bunch of complex systems that maintain homeostasis to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
So frames are designed by definition to help you stay safe, to help you stay alive, to help you fulfill your beliefs, your identities, your rules, laws, and stories about the world. It's your subconscious doing its best to keep your focus where it thinks you need to be. And oftentimes they take some pulling of many threads to sort of dismantle. But the important thing to know about a frame is It's controlling how you perceive the world. So therefore it controls your actions and decisions. And therefore you can never break a frame by trying to change actions and decisions, because actions and decisions are predicated on what you perceive. And so your reticular activating system is actively deselecting information from your reality and presenting you only with a set of information controlled by this frame. So in order to gain access to any information outside the frame, we have to break the frame to get there. So psychedelics do this. They call it the destabilization of the default mode network, which is a form of how your brain keeps everything in the frame. So psychedelics, this is one of the mechanisms by which they help people grow, is they, for a minute, they delete the frame. And information that wasn't previously accessible becomes accessible. And then perhaps the frame doesn't go back quite the same way. So that's why psychedelics are such a phenomenon as it relates to identity transformation. But in an intellectual sense, the frame that keeps people looking for someone to save them, which is the mechanism by which we run to the back of the room almost always, comes from a series of complex factors. And I'm going to just list a few of them. The first is, if in any given moment you perceive you're suffering, there's a compulsion to be saved from the suffering. Now, one who is suffering as a result of their identity, not their actions or decisions. And so the challenge with being saved from suffering is you can't be saved. But it's easiest to sell to someone who's suffering. So the entire online marketing and coaching industry is built on the frame that exists, which is, your story is your suffering. I know I can't save you, but I might as well try, because perhaps in the process of trying, you'll grow. But this sets up a dynamic where people are constantly being met with failure in terms of their expectations, because consciously or subconsciously, if you're desiring to be saved and the person can't save you, inevitably you're going to end up upset. The expectations,
failure, which is what was happening in your first agency.
Correct. And so you're just always going to be stuck in that loop. So the question is, how do we shift the dynamic on that? Well, the answer is to transform the story of suffering, because one who is not suffering no longer needs saving. And then they become immune to the sales pitches of people who are selling into the broken frame. And so the frame of suffering comes from the story, in one or many ways, I'm not getting what I want out of life. And the root of I'm not getting what I want in life relates to the following two ideas. In the past, I haven't gotten what I wanted. And in the future, I can't get what I want. So if we have a belief of any kind that is, I'm not getting what I want, I haven't gotten what I want, and therefore I can't get what I want in the future, but then I contrast that with the idea that I want to grow a business, the problem with that is you can consciously say, if I grew my business, my life might get better. And you might even have a valid case study that says it likely will get better. The problem is you've got this opposite force being applied in your psychology, which is, but my story that I'm not getting what I want will also get bigger. And the story of not getting what I want is painful, and it causes the suffering we're trying to escape. And so we create self-sabotage or glass ceiling or upper limit issues that sound like, I'm not being visible. I don't do sales calls. I don't want to do marketing. I want to grow my business, but I feel stuck. What's the problem? Am I broken? And then we go backwards and we try to find out how to fix why we're broken. But we're actually only broken in the present moment inside the belief that I'm not getting what I want. And I'll never grow my business because I don't want a bigger life full of more of what I don't want. And the root of that problem is not anyone else but me. It's me, first and foremost, not getting what I want. But then secondly, choosing the story that I'm not getting what I want. So now no matter what I do for you, you're always going to adopt the story, this isn't what I wanted. So you're impossible to please. You're stuck and you can't grow. You're suffering and looking for a savior, and you're wrapping all of that in a meta narrative called the only thing I can trust myself to do in my life is be a victim to getting what I do not want. And so we can't change anything in business as long as that narrative exists to basically any degree. And there's this moment of radical honesty necessary, which is to basically say, having is evidence of wanting, and everything I've been doing is a strategy, and therefore I'm getting exactly what I want in life, including the story that I'm not. and then having the courage to transcend that. So I just distilled like an entire day of context into a 4 or 5 minute soundbite. But like, you know, if anyone out there is resonating with any version of that, just understand learning how to sell more is just going to lead you to more pain. Learning how to market more is just going to lead you to more pain. Hiring more people, it's just going to lead you to more pain. Getting more customers is just going to lead you to more pain, because you currently have the story. You're not getting what you want, and nobody can save you from that.
And that story is going to be, you're going to continue to prove that you're right about that story.
Correct.
Right. That's the other piece of it. So you can continue to prove, oh, yes, oh, I'm right. I can't grow my business, even though I did these programs, or I'm right about this. You know, what do you want to be right about in life?
Yep.
What do you want to be right about?
Yep.
Such a powerful question. One
more ingredient to that. Why might someone have that story is a question that I've thought about in the Tim Hortons drive-through while I buy my coffee. Here's my best hypothesis so far. If I can enroll you into the idea that I'm not getting what I want, you might try to give it to me.
Huh.
So actually, it's the world's most endemic enrollment strategy. I'm trying to sell you
my own fucked upness, then you will actually help me.
Right. The way to get what I want in life
for me.
The way to get what I want in life is to tell the story that I'm not.
Mm.
And so that story is transcendable, because there's actually far more compelling strategies to get what you want in life. And the minute I show you evidence of that, you'll drop this story in a heartbeat.
And Alexander, you know what I think about that story too? The story of, you know, I can't get what I want in life. I haven't gotten what I want in life. I can't get it now, and I'm not going to get it in the future. Well, guess what? If we have that story, we've set ourselves up for that. And we're just simply living it out. Mm-hmm. We're just living it out. Mm-hmm. We're living it out over and over and over and over again. And, mm-hmm. and that our upper limit will never change.
Yep.
We basically set ourselves up, we scripted it, and there's a payoff. In fact, there are a lot of payoffs. One payoff is not having to work. Yep. So why should I bother? Why should I work? I mean, mm-hmm. I'm just going to have the same thing happen. I'm just going to have difficult customers I don't enjoy. Mm-hmm. Why should I work?
Exactly.
Why should I put forth an effort? Because it's really hopeless, because everything really sucked before, and it sucks now, and it's going to suck in the future.
Why bother hiring people? Nobody ever does it the way I want anyway. I better just do it myself.
I'm going to just have to do it myself, or I'm just going to have to go behind them and clean up their messes. Think about how we sabotage ourselves over and over and over to create the big V, the big victim story.
Yep.
You know, and we're either going to be a victim of ourselves or a victim of the scripts, or both together, you know, because most people don't even distinguish between the two.
Yep.
Or we get to become a victor, and the victor's got to know themselves and what they want.
Right. And so we call that a powerful creator.
Yeah.
And they're mutually exclusive.
Yes. Thank God for that.
Yeah. But ironically, you're being a powerful creator in creating the reality where you're not getting what you want, which is exactly what you want.
Exactly.
So you're being successful. Good for you. Now,
you're successful not getting what you want.
Right. So look how powerful you are. You can point that powerful creator capability in any new direction you like. And we've got, you know, all kinds of frameworks for how that can be done in a way that lines up with the science of behavior, and makes growth very tangible, which is important to me.
You know, I did a lot of transformational leadership. So you're really speaking my language here, Alexander, in different words, but it's very much the same concept, that we have to get outside of the box. And there are many ways that we get to do that during transformational trainings. I am very, very grateful for the fact that the transformational trainings I went through were with people who were very, you know, it was like the boot camp of transformational training. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it moved me very, very far. And at that time, I was going through a separation and eventual divorce. And, you know, it was a shitty time. And I'll tell you what, that transformational leadership really got me to see, okay, it's rainy. It's a rainy day right now. It's a rainy in my life. And how can I enjoy the rain? How can I live in the rain? How can I live well in the rain?
Yeah. I mean, wisdom is the recognition of the blessing in any given crisis.
Exactly.
Right?
And that it's all there to serve us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's serving us, as you put it earlier, in helping us develop the courage muscle even more. And I say the courage muscle because coraggio is the origin of the word courage, and it comes from heart.
Hmm.
So it is
Yeah.
a muscle.
Yeah.
We're taking that muscle of courage and we're developing it. Or maybe we're developing the muscle of fortitude or stamina or perseverance.
Hmm.
What is the muscle that we are developing as we go through whatever thing it is? I have an exercise I love to give people, Alexander, when I hear the victim story, and I include myself in that, right? So I can have whatever victim story I've got going on, and then I say the reason I am having the experience of X is so that I can, and then I list 12 reasons, right? So, for example, with one, my weight had gone up, and I was like, the reason I'm having the experience of being the heaviest I've ever been is so that I can have the experience of loving myself unconditionally as God already loves me.
Hmm.
Whoa. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
And then 11 more things.
Yeah.
So just to be able to live and live in with, suffering, it's not suffering, but the attachment to suffering, as they say in Buddhism, that is the problem. Not suffering itself, the
Yeah.
attachment to it, the
Yep.
addiction to it, the
Yep.
addiction to struggle, which is rampant in our society.
100%. Yeah.
100%. Man, this is such a fruitful conversation, and we need to wrap. There's really no good place to wrap this, but I think we'll leave people with questions, and what do you really want? And what box are you living inside that you're maybe not even aware of? Whose scripts have you taken on? How have you let society decide what is right or wrong for you? Are you doing something you despise and hating yourself for doing it? And as you pointed out, Alexander, are you being right about the fact that you're fucked up and you're fucking up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you being right about that? Chances are, well, you're being right about something. What are you being right about? What are you trying to prove in your life? What are you trying to prove is right? So, Alexander, this has been so great. And we actually allow everyone on the show to give away something, and we put it into the Bold Badass Business Freebie Vault.
Oh, great.
I'd love to give you that opportunity as well. Let me give everybody the URL where you'll find it, and then you're welcome to think about it, Alexander. If you know what you want to give us, that's great. Everybody take out your pen or pencil and write down bit.ly/free from Dr. B. So let me repeat it, bit.ly/free from DRB. All one word, free from DRB. I made it rhyme so it'd be easy and we could find it. So you'll just put your email in. We don't share it with anyone else. And when you go in, everyone, you're going to be able to see our Bold Badass VIP sponsors at the top. We love our sponsors. They help us keep the show going. They help us keep bringing these incredible badass guests like Alexander Ford to you. And so make sure that you get the goodies that they've got at the top. And then you'll scroll down and you'll find all the episodes that we've had. And now we're up to about 140, I believe it is. And you'll be able to find gifts from every single episode of the Bold Badass Business Show. So, Alexander, with a drum roll, there's my drum roll. What
Sure.
would you like to give to everybody?
Yeah. So we have a free training on the process of completing a value determination. So we've talked a lot about what do I want? Like, what does it mean to live a fulfilling and inspired life? How do I go about making choices that are in alignment with my values and help me get what it is that I want? At the center of all of that is what is truly important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And each of us automatically expresses this hierarchy. It tends to survive over time the impulses or the influence of others, in that if I were to measure your values, say once a month for a year, we would find a common pattern that is revealed that transcends the attempts to live according to the values of anyone else. And it's a step-by-step process. So you can opt in. It's a video training that includes a worksheet.
Beautiful.
And I ask you 13 questions, which reveal from your behavior what you express is truly meaningful and important to you. And it's the starting point for identifying how to make better decisions about how you fill your day, better decisions about how you plan your business, better decisions about how to bring your life in alignment with what it is that you are, who it is that you are, and what it is that you value.
Your
And
highest.
then to also give you permission to prune away some of the dead branches that perhaps you've been holding on to for
Mm,
reasons outside of those values. So it's about an hour. You can complete it on your own time. And when you're done, you'll have a hierarchy. You can print it out, put it on a Post-it note, stick it to your monitor, and it gives you a mechanism by which you can say, which of the many choices in front of me will help me to fulfill my values the most. And if we shift how we make decisions each day, just one decision at a time, over time, you'll find that your life reconfigures around that to become a more natural expression of what it is that you stand for and what's important to you and what inspires you.
so beautiful. I love this process of creating a value determination in a video course. This is fantastic. And an assessment, it sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
or a workbook
Yep.
assessment. This is fantastic, Alexander. So everybody make sure that when you go into bit.ly/free from Dr. B, that you get Alexander's value determination process, the video training and the assessment, and that you enjoy and use this to create a life that you really love, a life that you're proud of, a life that is in alignment with your highest values, not the highest values of society. You know, I value my time so much, Alexander. I value my time to read, to meditate, to do Reiki. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur. And I have to say, I don't work that much. I don't work more than 25 hours a week. That's it. That's all I want to work, 25 hours or less.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less many weeks, because that's what I wanted in my mind. That was it. And I wanted to spend the time with my daughter. I wanted to spend the time with my new granddaughter, who was just born in June. You know, what is it you really want, those of you listening? So, Alexander, you've given us so much to think about. Would you give us one more idea to take with us, maybe an action step for people other than getting the assessment and your video program, which you absolutely have to do, people. You just have to do that. And he's digging deep, and I love that.
It's simple. This is an exercise I assigned to one of my clients. We call it playing chicken with God. Run an experiment for 1 week. Your life is not going to implode in 1 week. Try on the experiment that when you wake up in the morning, you're going to ask a different question. What do I truly want to do today? Not what do I need to do, should do, ought to, must do, got to, supposed to. None of that. What do I truly want to do today? Write down the 7 highest priority things you truly want to do. Do those things. And a week later, look backwards at your life and ask yourself if your life has gotten better or gotten worse. And if your life has gotten better, you've created evidence that supports the idea that following your desire and following what you truly want in life is the most efficient and effective path to creating an inspired life that you love.
I love this. I love the fact that we get to ask the question, is it better or not? And we get to have results and evidence. This is evidence-based from our own lives. What a fantastic. It is called Running Chicken with God. Is that the name?
Playing chicken with God, yeah.
Playing chicken with God.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got running chicken from God with. I just visualized this chicken running. Anyway, I love that idea and the question, what do I really want to do today? And putting 7 priorities. How fantastic is that? And so for a week, we let everything else go unless it's on our 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You might find that some of the things you need to do, you actually want to do.
Right.
But when it's grounded in a different question, it has a different energy.
Exactly. Then it becomes I get to rather than I have to.
Yep.
And we can drag around those have tos, you know, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners like to be martyrs.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, I worked 70 hours last week.
Yeah.
Who gives a flying?
Well, and to put a bow on the spirit of this podcast, when your vocation and vacation have become the same, you've begun to master your life. And when you wake up each day asking yourself, what would I love to do today? By definition, that's a vacation.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it, Alexander. That's the perfect way to end. So maybe those of you listening don't exactly feel like a bold badass. Maybe you've had your victim story going a little bit, but I think that after today's episode, that story, you get to set it aside. You get to make a choice. Am I going to set that aside? And am I going to do what I really want to do? Am I going to do what I feel led to do? Am I going to do the thing that makes my heart sing? So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Bold Badass Business Show. Alexander, I've loved our conversation. So great to have you on the show. And we will have more badasses for you next week, Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So go be bold, be a badass, and do the thing that's yours to do. Thanks, everybody.